I think because the people that we're kind of like starting to build ourselves around, like back in the day, your typical athlete would have his homeboys and those different people around. So when you having your homeboys around, the conversations are not about like business investments or it's not about different things. Now guys are coming out and they have teams and they have these teams that have, your agent, your insurance guys, your business manager, marketing person, like now you have components that actually show that you're creating a business entity or creating an empire because it's not about just getting like endorsement deals now. Like, yeah, you can get you can get wrote an endorsement check, but you want to be a part of the company, you want to be a part of a brand, you want to be a part of something that can grow really really big, and you want to be able to have your hands on that product from start to finish.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where you can hear the real stories behind the people on social media. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by TrueFan. Before we get into today's conversation with Thaddeus Young, there's a couple things that we need to go over first. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to leave us a positive rating and review and share this episode with a friend. And as a reminder, today's podcast is part of the 2021 #Sports Podcast Summit. If you want to learn more about one of the biggest sports media conferences on the planet, I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below so you can learn more. And if you're joining us from the conference, welcome. I'm very excited to have you here. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for future episodes. I put out brand new interviews every single Monday. And a brand new takeaways episode is an audio exclusive where I sit down and break down the most recent podcast episode of the week every single Thursday. And now, without further ado, I'm very excited to present to you my conversation with Thaddeus Young. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by TrueFan. And today on the show, we are joined by Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus is a professional basketball player in his 14th NBA season, currently a member of the Chicago Bulls. On top of his time as a pro athlete, Thaddeus is also the founder of Reform Ventures, a private investment fund that evaluates and provides value-added investment in early growth and late-stage companies. Some of his investments include DraftKings, Pinterest, SpaceX, Airbnb, Lyft, Rent the Runway, Wish, Coinbase, TrueFan, Overtime, Brisbane Bullets, Epic Games, and more. And I'm very excited to have him here on the podcast today. Thaddeus, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
I'm excited to have you here. And before we get into all the business stuff, I have one question. I want to go all the way back. Can you tell me about the best battle you ever had at Weaver Road?
Best battle. I don't think it was a lot of battles because I was usually winning most of them. But I mean, every single day was just tough. I mean, that's where it all kind of started and just the grind happened. But loved every bit of it. It's got me to the point where I am today. It's made me tough. But I'll probably say the best battles were just trying to figure out how I would overcome the circumstances that were around me. I think that was the best battles and the biggest battles and the toughest challenges for me. Not so much on the basketball court, but everything that happens around that court, from the people standing outside and selling drugs to doing drugs to all the different stuff. So those are some of the challenges that you're faced with when you're growing up, and you want to always put yourself in a position to where you succeed and be successful.
And as a kid, as a teenager in that situation, what's the pressure like with the expectation that you're going to take basketball far? Like how do you, on top of just being a high school student, you're also handling all that pressure, where you're going to go to school, things like that. How do you handle that as a 15, 16-year-old?
I mean, for me, it was always me thinking about, my parents and how they raised me and the things that they've instilled in me growing up. For me, it's always been a matter of just going out there and just, being a leader within myself and not being a follower. I always kind of tooted to my own horn. And, and I understand one of the biggest things is understanding and recognizing what's right and what's wrong. When to say no and when to say yes. And I think I did a really good job of understanding those things at an early age, and it's put me in a position to where I am now.
Mm-hmm. And so you ended up being drafted. It was 7 days after your 19th birthday, right?
Yep.
And your first investment came your rookie year, right? It was a strip mall, I believe.
Well, that wasn't my rookie year. Wasn't the first. Wasn't Well, my rookie year wasn't when I first invested. It was more so when I first started to get into uh, my next contract. My first 3 or 4 years was just all saving, making sure that every single dime and nickel and penny that I could scrape together was going into bank accounts and going into stocks and bonds, and making sure that it was all like safe stuff. You know, um, you know, moderately investing into stocks, but extremely conservatively, continuing to put money away into CDs and bonds, and making sure that I had something left to that. If I wasn't to play another day of basketball, I was able to survive and live off that and be able to take care of my family. But at that time, my first investment, I would probably say, went into strip malls and condo buildings and apartment complexes, was probably around like year 4 or 5 for me.
Okay. And where do you learn to kind of navigate the whole business side and things like that? Like, cause you like, so you came in the league, you're 19 years old. I flash back to when I was 19, and if like I came into that much money, I would have had no idea what to do with it. So how do you at that point in time, like, how do you navigate that whole world? How do you like find the people to put around you in that situation?
I was blessed and fortunate enough to have people in my family that you know that had made some money and that understood how to handle money. Specifically, my business manager at the time, Kenneth Carter, who was a mentor of mine. He passed away not too long ago from a stroke, but he
Sorry for your
he
loss.
thank you. Yeah, he instilled a lot in me as far as growing up and understanding how to manage and handle money, and how to put my money into the right situations to understand like what's a good deal, what's a bad deal. Always encouraging me to continue to be conservative, but live life comfortably. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned how to do. Not go for all the glitz and glamour, or the bigger things, but always just try to be comfortable and try to make sure that I'm taking care of the business that I need to take care of.
And so when you first, was it mainly real estate investments in the beginning before getting into tech investments and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, we started off like from the investment side of things, just moderately doing stocks, and then, like I said, bonds and CDs, and then we started to get more into the real estate side of things, because his daughter she's actually a developer, and she would bring me no brainer deals, and these deals would bring back residuals and stuff like that, on a monthly basis, and that was one of the biggest things, creating some type of mailbox money episode where we can just have checks coming in, over the course of months and months and months, and then potentially, like, selling later on down the line when the properties have appreciated in value and stuff like that. So um, just continuing to bring in like checks while I'm sleeping, just understanding that money is still going to be coming in, and just building a portfolio of different things that could continuously bring money in, while I'm playing basketball, and just having the stuff that's outside of basketball.
And how do you determine when it's time to sell one of your real estate properties? Like, what does that look like?
Just depends, like, um, how much it's appreciated in value. Is it worth it or not to continue to put money behind it, as far as like building it up, um, making sure that it's the right time to sell, and it's the right time to do certain things with it. But I think it's you know but that's why you hire a team. You hire a team for different things that put you in a position to do these things.
How do you go about setting up the team specifically for reform? Like, what did that look like? Did you have to do interviews? Was it kind of people that were already around you that you just kind of brought together to form that company? What did that process look like?
I had somebody in my family, like I said, I had a business manager who was really good with handling money, and doing. He was a lawyer, so he was the one who kind of assembled the team, and we call it team THAD, of course. So you assemble your team, you assemble your agent, you assemble your insurance guys, and you have everybody else. And I think all of these different people kind of help put reform together. But as far as assembling the people who actually work day to day for reform, his daughter, who's the developer, she actually has an MIT degree as well. And with her having an MIT degree, it just made the most sense to make her the fund manager. So she's the fund manager, and basically like we got together and we hired two investment analysis guys. One solely works on a lot of the real estate stuff, and then another works on solely just looking and vetting the investment deals as far as the tech and startup sector.
And so with you traveling and you playing all the time, is kind of the structure of Reform right now. Like, so the team they're looking for the deals, they're vetting the deals, and then do they kind of bring you a short list to evaluate once they've identified some key companies?
Yeah. So what we do is we see a lot of deal flow every month, and with us seeing all of this deal flow every month, it's basically we might see 10, 15 deals a month, and we try to pick like 3 to 5 deals that we think are some of the better deals and the best deals, and then we try to go from there and take those deals and talk with the founders and talk with everybody that we need to in order to put to see if we want to place an investment with those companies. And usually, out of those, 10 or 15 deals or 20 deals that we see, we try to keep them to a minimum, or a maximum of 5 that we actually dive into. But if they don't meet one requirement, like on what we have as far as our criteria of making an investment, we push those deals aside and we move on to the next one. Just because like we have a, a strict requirement on every single thing that we need in order to make the investment. Because when you're making these investments are very very risky. It's startups, so you don't so with them being very risky, they can fail and you can lose all of your money that you put into it. And then we also we have investment memos that come out that we do on the deals, and it's a recommended amount of what we should invest. So some companies have minimums of 25K, some companies have minimums of 50K, some have 75, some have 250, some 100. And what we do is we try to see how we can be a value add to each and every deal that we get across our table. And if we can't be a value add, then um, those are typically not some of the deals that we kind of need to be a part of, because we want to be able to help and get ourselves into some of the best deals possible, but also be value added to where we can help these deals continue to grow.
What are some ways you and the team are able to add value to these companies?
Uh, I think some of the ways that we've been able to add value, like I just made an investment into overtime. Are you familiar with overtime? Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So so I just made an investment to overtime, and some of the ways that we can help, overtime is like obviously like I'm an NBA basketball player, so helping connect with other basketball players, which I got 2 of my teammates into the deal as well. Um, Helping connect them with other companies that we deal with. So a company called like Shot Tracker for like sport for like live analytics during the game, real time analytics during games. A company called Plantiga, which is I think Canadian-based company that we made an investment into, that does force plate technology for players and different in the military as well. Um, and another company was a company called Shoot 360, um, and they do shooting, passing, and dribbling training. So just companies like we try to find value add into like all the different companies that we work with. Players TV, mixing those two together, I think would be really good, because Players TV is a channel that's showing in over 100 million households, and Overtime is coming up with their league, and they want to be able to show into as many households as possible, as well as have more eyeballs on the stuff that they're actually pushing out. And even though they do have so many eyeballs already on all of their content and the stuff that they do, I think it's just going to continuously make everything bigger and better with the companies that we're providing them with and that we're helping with. And then I've been talking with Zach, the founder. He actually he actually was he's a Philly fan, so, and I think he's from Philly, so we kind of hit it off right then and there, because he was like, "Yeah, I grew up watching you, blah blah boom," and then we kind of just hit it off and started to have some really good conversations as far as like overtime and how overtime can continue to blow up and grow.
That's awesome. And so on, do you have any like recurring responsibilities? Like, yes, you talk to founders on the phone, different things like that. You help make those connections. But as an investor, do you have any other responsibilities once you make an investment into the company?
I mean, it just depends. Like some companies, I try to get advisory roles or like an advisor seat or board seat, to where I can kind of be involved in discussions and talks and stuff like that to understand more about like the next phase of the company and how the company's going to continue to improve and grow. But my responsibilities, once we make the investment, is to see how we can continue to value add through the other companies that we invest with or the companies that we form a relationship or a bond with through our vetting process. So we've been doing a really good job of just placing companies with other companies and giving them avenues to where they can be able to go out and work and continue to grow the companies through some of the different resources that we have, but not only the resources that we have, but the resources that the companies that we're placing it with have.
And what are some, like, you don't have to give away all the secrets by any means, but what are some of those other criteria that you look for when you're listening to pitches or evaluating companies?
I think one of the biggest things that we look for is like um, problem solving. Like if there's a problem that's being put out in the air, how can they solve it and how can they solve it, and then if another problem occurs, do they have the team or the members within their team to continuously solve problems on a day-to-day basis and continue to update and be able to push out data and software and analytics on all of the products that they have continuously. Like how it's like when you play video games, like you want the updates quick, fast, in a hurry, right? So like if it's glitches in the system, like you want to know how quick can they fix those glitches? Because if they don't fix them fast enough, then they lose customers, they lose clients, they lose people and they lose interest. So I'm the same way. I want to be able to see um, how quick they can fix those glitches within their systems.
Beyond just kind of the company itself, is there anything you look for specifically in the entrepreneur and kind of building on that? Have you ever invested in a company because you liked the entrepreneur almost more than their business?
Honestly, I my first investment in a startup company, I invested I think solely because I had a relationship with the person and his entrepreneurial spirit, not based upon the actual business model. I mean, I looked at the business model. I thought it was a great business model, but apparently, like obviously, it was my first investment, so I was going more solely off the emotional aspect of it. So for me, yes, I have done that, but I learned from that first investment that obviously I can't just make one investment and think that one is just going to hit off. So I learned from that first investment that, okay, if I'm going to be doing this, that I need to create a team. I need to create a strategy. I need to create some type of criteria that I can go by to be able to make investments. So um, from that day forward, I started to look at the solely on the business side of things and the team. So and like I said, the problem solving skills. Like if like because like you can have an okay business and have a really good team that can really push the business and the business still can thrive. And it's the same way vice versa. You can have a really good business model with an okay team and the business still thrive. So just trying to like balance the two and make sure that when I'm looking at these things and I'm looking at these different deals, looking to see like whatever sector that they're in, that they have the expertise and knowledge that's some of the top in the game or some people that's sitting on the board that can help the company continuously grow and continuously get bigger and better. But also having uh, the actual uh, the right software and platform that can continuously push the model and continue to expand to make it even bigger than what it currently is at the time.
And you look at companies in different stages as well as another thing you guys do, right? I think I said in the intro was early stage, growth stage, and late stage, right? Do you do those three different stages, obviously to diversify the portfolio, but with kind of those later stage companies, is it a little bit more of a bit of a safer bet as opposed to those early stage companies? Is that kind of why you do those three?
Yeah, I initially started off. My first investment was a super early stage company. It was just an idea, and then
Just claim it, right?
yeah, claim it. And then I realized that um, I can make money. It's not as much, but I can make multiples on late stage investments as well, and then use the multiples from the late stage investments to make to make investments on growth and early stage opportunities. So basically, play with some house money. So what I started to do was I started to invest into like later stage companies like DraftKings, Airbnb, DocuSign, those type of companies, and then I started to see multiples on money. So like 2 and 3x on the money that I was getting. Those 2 and 3x's, sometimes 4 and 5x, um, would give me the multiples that I need to continue to make investments, in the growth and early stage sector. So basically just playing with some house money as opposed to just playing with all of my money. So it put me in a really good opportunity and situation to where I can make some bets on some different things. And I've been very fortunate enough to have some really good companies under my belt and under my portfolio. Um, you know, and it's done really well.
And you said you get 10, 15, 20 deals you're kind of looking at a month. How are these deals? How are you finding these deals? Are you going to them? Are they coming inbound to you? What's that process look like for you?
I mean, some I might see and say, "Oh, I like this company. I think we should look into this." And and then we'll figure out how to get to the founder, or figure out how to get to somebody within the company, and figure out like what their raise is, what they're trying to do, how can we value add. And then some deals are coming in. It's a lot of Most of the deals are coming in from our partners. Like we have a really good um, partnership with a lot of different people, and a really good base and foundation that we've kind of built over the past 4 or 5 years, where um, we don't have to go out and source deals. Deals basically just kind of fall in our laps and come to us now. Um, you know, um, we've been able to create some really good partnerships, and in these partnerships, with people from Silicon Valley Bank, who sees most of the deals and handles most of the startups money out in Silicon Valley and all across the world. Manhattan Venture Partners, Outlander Labs with Paige Craig, um, JP Morgan Chase. Just when you like, we've read Patrick Co. We've really been put in a situation to where we have a lot of different partnerships and a lot of different people that really like what we've been doing and see what we've been doing, and they've been putting us in a lot of the different deals and giving us a lot of leeway. Another good friend of mine, Chameleonaire, um, he's done really well in the startup space, and he's been putting us into some different deals and giving us some leeway on some deals. So just a lot of different people have been just trusting us to be able to help companies out, but also be able to value add and put money into some really good deals.
And how did you guys adapt to COVID once that hit? Did that kind of turn everything on its head for you guys? How did you adapt to that?
Actually, COVID turned everything up. Just because,
Okay.
yeah, because like with COVID, like turning with COVID, all the companies started to they started to need cash flow and capital. So a lot of the companies that we wanted to kind of get into, they had started raising money because they needed burn rates to get through COVID. So when they started raising money, they gave us a lot of leeway to get into a lot of really good deals, and a lot of to have a lot of leeway on some deals to where we can get in for cheaper prices than we would have if COVID didn't happen. So COVID was wasn't a blessing, but it helped kind of kickstart some serial investing. so 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 it really kickstarted us getting into some really good Fortune 500 companies, some companies that can be like life changing if a SPAC hits them, or they go public and stuff like that.
I want to. So like the reason we got connected was through Swish from TrueFan. Obviously, TrueFan's one of your investments. They sponsor the show. I was wondering if you could take TrueFan specifically and kind of run through the whole timeline of that deal and how everything came together, just to kind of give the audience like contextualize what this whole process looks like. So I'm curious how TrueFan first kind of came across your radar.
TrueFan, TrueFan first came across the radar with Randy Rose of Athletes Tech Group. Um, Me and him really good friends. He was Anthony Bennett's manager when I was in Minnesota with Anthony Bennett, and we kind of just kept in touch. And he knew that I was already kind of like investing into tech and stuff like that. So he had already been trying to get me to invest in some deals that he thought was some really good deals. So I was like, all right, yeah, well, let me know when they got time to pitch. So he did like a group like pitch session to like a whole bunch of athletes and different people. And TrueFan was one of the companies. So I think it was TrueFan, company called Workout, um, another company called Rumble Gaming, and Plantiga. So I sat on the phone. I listened to the pitch, and I thought it was really good. A really good pitch from me understanding data and analytics, especially like um, gathering all of the first, second, and third party data and information, um, and being able to get through security barriers and stuff like that with all that information. So me understanding that sector a little bit really had got me engaged, and then that's how I kind of went from me just listening to a pitch to me um, calling my team and saying, "Hey, I got a couple really good companies that I think we should look into." And actually, all four of the companies were really good, like super good, super good. Rumble Gaming was really good, and then Plantiga was really good, and Workout was really good. Workout just didn't have enough like leeway for me. Plantiga was really good because I like the fact that they were using force play technology, which is what the league is starting to try to get into now, and more people are going to start trying to get into it. And so I had a lot of ideas there with them. And then Rumble Gaming was really good from the standpoint of they had like a lot of leeway. They were already a profitable company, but they already had a partnership with a company that I was already invested into, which was Players TV. So I didn't want to kind of like double dip into the pot, but I still keep them on my radar because I want to see them grow a little bit more than what they've been doing. Like some companies, they at that point in time they may be just like a fad, right? It may burn out sooner than later. So I wanted to make sure that this was something that people were really buying into and people were really looking into as far as like um, how their business model is set up. And then back to True Fan. True Fan was really engaged me because of what they do with the data and how they're able to help companies market, and not only market but understand what their true audience is. Most companies, that's what they want. They want to know who their true audience is, who's really paying attention to their platforms and their softwares and their data, and who's really like listening in to and dialed into what they're doing. And I think TrueFan really puts that out there to where it puts them in a unique situation to where they can kind of corner the market in that area. And they were acquiring they acquired a company. So when you see other companies acquiring other companies within the sector that they're in, that shows that they're in a position to be able to do some things.
First off, shout out to Randy. Had him on the podcast probably about a year ago now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Randy. But so once you make the decision, you hear these pitches, you decide, I want to invest in TrueFan. Then what happens? Like, is there a negotiation? Do you go back and forth? Do you try and figure out kind of what's that look like?
Well, I listen to the pitches, and then once I listen to the pitches, me and the team we call it our huddle. So we go back and huddle and we talk about it, and then they ask me everything I like about it from all the notes that I take, because I take a lot of notes during these pitches, and I ask a lot of questions. 9 times out of 10, if I'm the only athlete on the on the call, then if I'm one of 10 athletes on the call, I'm the only one asking a lot of questions because I understand the whole investment side of things. So, and then like another thing like has to happen too is like it has to make sense with the valuation and with the type of money that they're raising, what they're asking for. Do they have a lead investor? Who are their leads? Who sits on the board? What's who how many people work for the company to how much generated income that they had, what's the gross margins, to how many what's the KPIs to also down, right? The cogs, so um I ask all those questions, and then it helps me formulate if I really want to kind of dive into it a little bit more. And then once I get to that stage, then we start to go through a due diligence process. And this due diligence process is the process that really is like I might get an investment memo from the due diligence process, and it might be 10, 15 pages that I have to read and go through in order to even make an investment. But Charles, who's our investment analysis guy, he does a really good job of putting together these investment memos and making sure that we know every single thing about the company and where they're going and what they're trying to do, how they're trying to build for the future, and what their market value could be down the line if they hit a certain number, hit a target. So um, it really just goes from the pitch to us huddling to us going after the huddle and saying, okay, I'm pushing this off on YouTube. And then those two, they go through the whole due diligence process. And then after we go through the due diligence process, we go to legal. And then after going to legal, and if legal finds any red flags within uh, all the legal documents, then we have to go back and discuss that and make changes and remarks to the legal documents. And then after we make changes and remarks to the legal documents, then we bring it back to them. And then if they agree to it, then that's how we get past that portion and then figure out, what numbers are we going to make the investment at.
And so you said you're getting about 10, 15, 20 deals a month. How often are you writing checks? How often are you investing in companies?
Um, I mean, it just depends. It depends on how much we like the deal and if the deal makes sense for us. If the deal doesn't make sense, or if it doesn't pass the due diligence process or the legal process, then um, you know we might write a check, once a month. We might write two a month. Write we might not write any for 3 or 4 months. We we don't have a specific goal on how many checks we want to continuously write. um, I think what we do is we try to find the best deals possible, and whatever comes out of having the best deals possible, then we try to figure out if it makes sense for us. With it being the best deal, does it make sense for us as a company to continue to move forward with that deal?
I have a quote of yours here written down I believe it's from an article. I can't remember which one it was, but the quote is, I want people to understand that I'm not just an athlete. I'm a businessman, a person who believes in handling business the right way. And I'm a person who can walk into a building with people from any class and be comfortable. I'm curious how being a professional basketball player impacts the work you do in the boardroom.
I mean, it gives me a little bit more respect because they know who I am as an athlete. But when they listen to me talk and hear that I understand stuff about business or understand how to make investments to tech companies and startups, and I understand the sectors, um, it it just elevates it to a whole new level. So it really puts me in a position to where I can be like I feel like I can be myself, when I'm speaking or talking. I don't have to sugarcoat anything. I don't have to like try to fit in and stuff like that because I already know that they know who I am and what I'm capable of. So, but for me, like I think it just elevates it when people understand who I really am as a person. Like I'm real chill and laid back. So like you won't know all this stuff, or I know all this stuff until we actually have a conversation. So once we start to have a conversation, or like I'm being brought up on stage, or being brought up, into a Zoom call where students or people who do this on the regular, you know, um, that's when people realize, oh, okay, like he's super smart or he understands this.
I have another quote I've written down here is that with in terms of investing, you've talking about in the article, it was talking about how you already hit the lottery by being an NBA player.
Right.
So does that take the pressure off when you're investing because you've already hit the lottery? So you're like you kind of talked about playing with house money earlier. Does because you know you've already hit the lottery, does that make investing a little bit less pressure for you?
For sure. I mean, it makes it super easy for me to say no, even if it's the best deal in the world. It makes it easy for me to say no. I mean, I missed out on some really good deals because they didn't fit the structure that I needed for my investment strategy. Like we as a company, we have our investment strategy, and if it doesn't fit, no matter how good the deal is or how many multiples it can be, we don't invest. Just for the simple fact of, like I said, like I've already hit my lottery ticket several times, so I'm not really pressed for it. Like, yeah, I would love to make a lot of money on all of these different deals, but money isn't everything. So for me, it's like, okay, like if if it's not a part of what we set as far as investment strategies, then it's going to put me in a position to where I'm going to have to, on the next deal, I might be thinking the same way. Oh, well, it's not a part of investment strategy, but I just did this last deal. You see what I'm saying? So I don't want to get into constantly making bad bets or constantly making bets on different deals that's not a part of the investment strategy because it looks good. It's a sexy deal that everybody wants to get into, but it's not the best deal for me.
Kind of from an outsider's perspective, looking to me, like NBA players are some of the most progressive athletes when it comes to investing. I mean, you got LeBron, Steph, KD, you also guys like Anthony Tolliver, Trevor Booker. Why, from your perspective, are basketball players more involved in the startup world and investments?
I think because the people that we're kind of like starting to build ourselves around, like back in the day, your typical athlete would have, um, you know, his homeboys and those different people around. So when you having your homeboys around, the conversations are not about like business investments or it's not about different things. Now guys are coming out and they have teams and they have these teams that have, your agent, your insurance guys, your business manager, your marketing person. Like now you have components that actually show that you're creating a business entity or um, creating an empire to where like you're serious enough to start making investments. So at first it wasn't that. Like we would just give our homeboy a title, or we just give our brother or a sister a title, right? And then just pay them with them having a title but not doing any work. So now you have people that actually are actually doing work and actually sourcing and getting deals and looking at these deals and betting these deals and getting people that know about these deals to bet these deals. And and the landscape of how your typical athlete is changing for the simple fact of I think the circles are changing around the actual athlete. Like you have a number of people that used to be like grabbing on your coattail and just asking for money, but now it's, oh, like I got this deal, like I got this startup company, I got this tech company, like I got this really good deal, I got these people that I need you to meet. Like now is everybody's building their own teams and their own circles, and with building these teams and circles, everybody's able to start kind of like talk about deals and talk about like how this deal can help them or how this deal can help another player or something like that. So guys are starting to more like now really get into different deals and 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 understand that investing, we make a lot of money at this point in time in our life. So why not start investing and why not start putting yourself in a position to where you can be with some of these companies? Because it's not about just getting like endorsement deals now. Like, yeah, you can get you can get wrote an endorsement check, but you want to be a part of the company, you want to be a part of a brand, you want to be a part of something that can grow really really big, and you want to be able to have your hands on that product from start to finish.
Are guys coming up to you in the locker? Are guys talking to you and stuff, asking for advice all the time? Like I've read somewhere that you don't like to preach to guys, but you wait till they come to you. Are guys coming to you more often these days?
Yeah, I mean, on this overtime deal, I got Garrett Temple and I got Zach Levine into the overtime deal. And that was because we was having a conversation at the card table. so so we were playing a card game that we all kind of play on the plane, and we were just talking about different stuff that we've gotten into, different business investments and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, like speaking of this business investment, I'm looking at this one right now. It's called Overtime, and they were like, oh, like, yeah, I know about Overtime, and I was like, yeah. They was like, how you gonna get in? I was like, well, I'm talking with the founder right now, having a conversation with him. I was like, so I'll vet the deal out and then let y'all know, and then I'll tell y'all if y'all want to get in. So we had them conversations now, to where you know um, you know guys know that I invest. They know that I handle business on a day-to-day basis. They hear me like having some phone calls and stuff like that, and they'll start asking me questions, and then it kind of goes from there. But yeah, guys are starting to ask me a little bit more now. Even other guys around other teams around the league. I think Rudy actually got into the deal too. Me and Rudy was discussing. First thing he asked me when he seen me, he was like, "Man, what's the next deal you got for me?" I was like, that's how we started the conversation. Now he was like, "I know you the man." I was like, man, look, I was like, I just got the access, the same access that you can get. You just got to take advantage of it. So but I think Rudy ended up getting into the deal. I linked him and the founder up and told him like, look, this is my guy. Y'all talk, y'all have a conversation, and then see where it goes from there. And then I think he ended up getting into the deal. I didn't follow through with it because I was looking at some other stuff on my side.
I know we're almost out of time here, so I'm just going to jump. I got 2 questions left. How often do you reflect on kind of the whole journey? Looking back from those games out of Weaver Road to now, guys are coming to you looking for investment advice. You're 14 years in the league. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you played more games, more minutes, more points than anyone from Memphis ever. How often do you reflect on the whole journey?
All the time. I mean, who like for me, never, it never crossed my mind that I would be playing in the NBA for 14 years, let alone 1 year. So, for me, it was more along the lines of just continuously working and continuously being able to stay here and continuously grinding each and every day. But like always reflecting on different things, like thanking the Lord for putting me in a position to where I could take care of my family, and not only that, but be able to do other things outside of basketball. Like basketball has positioned me and put me in a situation to where like I can do so many things now that I probably wouldn't have been able to do if I didn't play basketball. And but I think it's also a thing of me kind of like taking advantage of those opportunities. And I think I really did a good job of taking advantage of those opportunities and putting myself in a situation to where I can have these partnerships through my venture firm and my real estate company, and I can be able to get into like all these different deals and have all these different partnerships and friends across the world, across the globe, and then also being able to be a value add to all these different companies as well.
For the last question, I like to flip the script a little bit. So instead of me asking the question, it's you asking the question, but it's not to me. So pretend you have a crystal ball and you can ask this crystal ball any question, you'll get the 100% honest answer. What is one question you'd want to know the answer to?
I don't know. Like I never really thought about it from that aspect. I probably guess say why haven't I why haven't I become a billionaire yet?
All right. I like it. I like it. I like that question. No one's ever asked that question before, but I love it. I love it. I want to thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast, man. Where can the people find you? Plug anything and everything you got right now.
You can find me at Thad.Young21. That's my IG account. At YoungSmooth21.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below. But I want to thank you once again for taking time to be on the podcast. And I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you listen the entire way through or you only listen to bits and pieces. I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Everyone do me a big favor. Go and follow Thad on Instagram. Go follow him on Twitter. Go check out Reform Adventures. I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below so you can find it. If you'd like to follow me, you can find me everywhere on social media at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. As always, today's podcast is powered by TrueFan. And I just want to give one more thank you to #sports for inviting my social life to be part of their podcast summit for 2021. Thank you once again for listening, everybody. We'll talk soon.